Hey, I'm George Popi, and this is Digging In, a show where I make someone dinner and we talk about things. My guest this evening is Andy Fidel. Let's dig in. Help yourself to
Yes,
food.
thank you very much.
Yes.
So please introduce your plate.
The plate.
Yes,
So
what is this? What are we eating?
It's bacon carbonara.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's super simple dish. And then we also have a salad, vinaigrette, tomatoes, basil, olive oil, some vinegar.
This is awesome. Well, thank you for...
Of course, no,
thank you for dinner.
No,
wow.
thank you for coming. Like, if I don't have people to come over, I just don't cook that much for myself. Or like, I'll cook very simple dishes where like a grilled cheese, panini. So basically anything grilled with meat and bread.
And cheese.
Cheese. Those are my go-tos. But this gives me an excuse to actually cook.
And where do you find your recipes? You just kind of randomly...
No, so my provider of all food is Good Food. It's actually a really good service. Startup based, I think, in Montreal, actually, where you basically can pick 2 to 4 recipes a week, and then we'll just send you all the groceries.
Right, that box has the recipe. It has exactly the ingredients you need with the spices at the exact right quantities. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, no, it's a great service. There's a couple of other competing companies that all do the same thing.
Yeah.
But for me, especially because I live alone,
Yeah.
like apart from this first dish, obviously you get to share it with someone. But the other ones, what I like is that, I'm not buying like, a sack of potatoes and then half of them go bad at some point because I'm not going to make potatoes every single day. Shopping for one person, it sucks.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Sucks, and then it's not that fun to make the food and then kind of eat alone.
In the dark corner, yeah.
Yeah.
Just tears like falling down my face. I'm watching TV, just like, oh God, what am I doing with my life? Yeah. So what has been new? Because I haven't seen you actually, because you went to Thailand, if I'm not mistaken.
I went to Thailand for a month.
How was that?
And that was amazing.
Yeah.
Unplugged, spent some time.
How was it to unplug? Like, what did you do when you say you unplugged?
Well, usually I always have my phone with me or have my computer, and it's something that I check like every 15 to 20 minutes. And I'm just bombarded with, over 200 notifications per day. And having to deal with that in customer service and just kind of always having the phone ringing, so you don't really know what's personal, when it's work, so it's just a bunch of notifications kind of all mixed in together. So in Thailand, I really take the time to turn the phone off and not even go anywhere because you don't really need a phone.
Yeah.
So time with family, a lot of meditation time, and just kind of me and my book and the beach.
Not bad.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Family time. We do a lot of Airbnb, so they're not really these fancy hotels. It's just kind of going local. So that was fantastic.
What's the kind of the local Thai experience? Because I still haven't been to Thailand.
Oh no, at all?
Not at all.
Okay, well you need to add that to your bucket list.
It's already added. Like there's a list that's a mile long at this point.
Yeah.
It is the only thing stopping me is time and money.
Time and money. Well, you need to get a few gigs there.
Clearly. Are you saying you got gigs while you're in Thailand?
No. I don't even take on work. I do actually refuse work there. I don't even have my audio. I just have my camera for fun with a small, really small lens, so it's really discreet. So no, I can't even take a job if I wanted to.
Okay.
So I know. No.
That's a good way. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's my 1 month in a year where I actually take the time, just to be with my family.
So it's an annual thing. How many years has it been?
Been 3.
3. Wow. That is a trend now. Beautiful, actually.
It's becoming a family tradition.
Well, okay, so is it always Thailand then?
It's always Thailand.
What?
Yeah.
Always Thailand?
Because we have a family friend who's from Thailand.
Okay.
So she'll actually take us around all the cities and all the different islands. And because she actually speaks Thai and she knows the culture and the people, we can just kind of let ourselves go and be surprised to where she takes us. So she'll take us to these random hole-in-the-wall restaurants or little activities to do or meditation centers. It's really random, and we're always delightfully surprised. So we keep going back.
If you I can imagine though some people that love the sound of rain to fall asleep. That's heaven for them, or they just can't escape it.
Oh, you better really like rain.
I wonder if there's a point where someone goes there to have the rain sound wash over them, and then it slowly becomes a nightmare for them. Where
like,
just
really
like this
cool
is a
short
living
story.
nightmare.
Yeah, like they're stuck there and then just like enjoying it, and then more they're just becoming obsessed with the sound of rain.
Yeah. That would be a good short film, not gonna lie. Though.
Yeah. Stephen King.
Yeah. You just go mad in the rain.
They go
Like
mad at the sound of rain, and then they try to like wall up their house with like these soundproof like materials.
And then like water starts to seep
into the. Oh gosh. Yeah.
It almost like becomes like a consistency like blood curling down the walls, but it's still water.
That became
really dark.
Real dark.
Well, you went with like Stephen King, so I'm going like full blown
full on
horror.
Yeah, then he starts like tripping that it's blood, and wow, yeah, and then
there's a ghost or like twins.
Ghosts.
I'm thinking like the Shining type moment.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, well, like you can actually see there's the little.
Oh, there's the sensors.
The sensors, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know you were into virtual reality.
I kind of am.
Okay.
That's when like you mentioned you don't want to talk too much about work, and then I was like, like there goes all my questions. Just
no. Virtual reality is more than just work. I am really in love with this immersive computing platform, and yeah.
So, like then the question just becomes like, how did the love affair begin?
How did the love affair become with VR? Okay, well, it started as I was in creative writing and writing stories, and I had a lot of trouble with words. I couldn't express my stories with simple words. So then I got into photography, then I got into video, then I got into multimedia, and then I still couldn't get my stories through or find that medium that would really convey how I wanted to tell the story. And then at the Phi Center, just kind of doing a story for L'Actualité, I did a virtual reality story. So the host actually tried them on, I did all the filming, and then everyone packed up and left, and I asked if I could stick around and had a few experiences. And in one of the novels I was writing, there's a scene where someone goes through that person, and as they're going through that person, you have their whole backstory in life. And so all my professors and friends were like, you can't really narrate that, that's not a thing. And then in that VR experience, a train goes through you. And it just goes through you, it's just that simple experience, but when I was having that experience, I was like, wow, as that train's going through you, you could have a whole story in that train as it's going through you, so you would have a story inside a story, and then from there, that was 2014, I just been obsessed with VR and just read every article possible, looked at every company, and just kind of been at it for 4 years now.
That's not bad. That's a good time frame to get into it too.
It was the perfect time to get in. There wasn't many players, there weren't many companies. It was easy to actually experience all the experiences as they were coming out. Like now it's impossible. Like now there's just like
there's too much.
hundreds coming out every like months or whatever.
Like everyone's like kind of jumped on the bandwagon. It's like this is the biggest thing now, and but
But a lot of filmmakers do the jump and go 360 or VR 180 now is a new thing.
Is it? Interesting.
It's interesting.
Well, that's the thing. It's like no one. There's few companies, at least, I would say, that have figured out 360 video. Felix and Paul, they're probably one of the preeminent ones, and like they actually, their experiences I find are great.
And they're from here.
They are from here, I know. But apart from them, I can't think of many 360 videos where I'm like, this is incredible. To go down like the contact lens kind of path, how scary is it going to be where, you know, everyone just like from birth has those in and like you just don't know what's real and what's not anymore?
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I'm like, well, you know, if you're an adult and you're choosing to purchase these, but what if you're just implemented them at birth? Or what if like you get like implanted a little chip that kind of like grows, or like, what if you don't even know that you have it at birth and you're just kind of like born in this virtual
I almost imagine
reality.
like they're also getting like probably brainstem chips that are bypassing like nervous system responses so that it's built-in haptic feedback. So like it's not even like you can pretend that something, like you realize something's fake or not. It's like you would have the same sensations. Like that's Black Mirror shit.
That's kind of crazy. Yeah, that's kind of Black Mirror. Yeah, that is for sure a weird Stephen King or whatever horror kind of movie life. Yeah. I don't know if you would ever go there, but then again, we would never really know, wouldn't we?
Until we get there.
Until we get there. I guess as a parent, you would not want that for your child, but then eventually with the generations, I mean, even now, right? Like kids that are like 5 or 6 that are growing up with virtual reality, and this for them is the norm. Whereas like we're from a generation where we still kind of remember cassettes. It's a novelty. Like we're using it for like enterprise now, or for like our extra entertainment. But we're not just born with it, just kind of like, yeah, 360 for sure. Like talking to other people in the world. Like, you know, we're actual human beings. Creating memories in VR. You know, like that's something that we're still kind of learning about. And it's going to be kind of scary for the next generation, I think.
Oh yeah. That element of this is going to be terrifying. We have no idea what the consequences are going to be.
But it's also really amazing.
Awesome. No. I love it way more than I hate it. Like, don't get me wrong.
Exactly. It's like it's like this technology is. I mean, it's just not just a technology, right? It's not just a TV, or it's not just like a microwave or an element. It's like a different way of computing. So, how are we going to react? How are we going to respond back to being so close to people in the world? Like, have you ever been in social VR?
I actually haven't. I've seen the obvious examples, but I haven't personally been.
Okay, well that is next level social media. It's like you're dropped in this like common area, and you have all these people from different places in the world, and they're coming up to you like here talking to you.
That's very close.
That is really extremely close. And you can start reading people's body language, especially with the Connect by Xbox. So you can actually see people's legs and see people, you know, if they're waving at you. You're gonna get soon facial expressions in these avatars. So it's just kind of literally like, Ready Player One, where you're just popping on your headset and just kind of like walking into something. I think it's fascinating, and it's, I don't know, I get kind of, it still seems magical for me.
Oh, because it's pure magic.
It's pure magic.
Like,
so
the fact that we can just drop ourselves into a completely different world and trick our senses into actually believing it, that's actually magic. One of my favorite quotes, I think, or maybe it's just an idea, not a quote, but it's just like, everything seems like magic until like you get to science, like showcasing how to do it. You know, like flying, everyone's like, oh, you need to be a witch to fly. Like, no, you just need the right rocket engines or a biplane, and then you're set.
I find it funny also how your, I guess, expressions and your way of being in virtual reality kind of leaks into real life.
Does it now?
Yeah, okay, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
When I'm in VR, in Alt Space VR, you can go through your mobile, you can go through your PC, or you can be in a headset.
Yep.
And so one of the ways when I'm on mute to show that I'm happy or to say yes is to turn around and do a little spin with a lot of emojis that come out of my head. And one day in real life, someone was like, hey, how are you doing? And I was like, great. And then I spun around. And they looked at me and they were like, Andy, what are you doing? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is something I do in VR like every day, all the time. It's to show like I'm happy. And then I have never done that in real life, to just like literally like just kind of like go in a circle and spin around on myself. So what if you were taking like VR for education and you were hosting a webinar or a class? Like, would you feel off-putted by having like a dragon, a squid, you know, a dwarf, a like 10 feet tall giant, like, or would you feel more comfortable, you know, giving a class if everyone just had more like traditional avatars?
I would say, I think it would just take me a minute to get used to everyone being different, but then eventually when you're just kind of like, okay, cool, this is just how it is, you kind of just go forward with it. Again, I think this is where like it almost becomes like a community guideline, because each community should like be able to create their own rules, because I'm sure there's gonna be people who are like, it should only be humanoids. It's like, cool, it's not on me to say that's bad for you. So it's like, make your gated community with humanoid people, or humanoid avatars.
Humanoid avatars. Yeah, well, the different platforms are going like, they're taking different routes, right? Like some of them you can literally make your own avatar. And in others you get like a presets and they're all humanoids, and they're going more the like, trying to imitate like the color hair you have, you know, like color eyes.
I'm thinking like that's like the Xbox avatar kind of route.
Yeah.
Where like they also then buy, like you have to buy every single new outfit.
Well, some of them people are taking that, like Facebook Spaces is more about like kind of, it's humanoids.
Well, that's because that's Facebook's policy to begin with. Like they had the whole backlash for a while with like forcing like trans and drag queens to use their real name, and it's like, come on. There's a huge thing, but like for them, the real is really important. They want people to have that security that's like, this is a real person. So of course they're gonna use the humanoids.
Right, don't they ask you to like send in like actual like not an invoice, but like a bill or something to like prove your name and where you live or stuff like that?
I think if you're a new user now, yeah. Obviously when I signed up.
I signed up when it was like 9 or 10 or
something. Yeah, same. It was just like, there was no questions asked. They were just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I have a few friends that had like fake names, or they put, the extra space in their first name, that kind of thing. And no, that's all been kind of like banned, or at least it's like kind of locking down on that.
It's against their policy. And then so like, if it's
why? Like, why can't you have 50 Facebook profiles if you wanted to? Like, why do you have to like have it be almost like this? I don't understand them.
In real like business sense, it's just because they want to be able to market to real people. That's why. It's a business.
It's a business. Okay, fair enough.
It's one of the biggest businesses in the world. So that's the only reason. Because then, like, when they go to their marketers who are buying all their ad space, they can be like, "This is this person." Instead of like, "Hey, here's a Dragonoid robot mix. We don't really know where they live. They've made up everything about themselves." That's honestly the reason. I would assume.
So much funner though. No, I definitely agree.
No, again, Facebook has lost its cool for a very long time. It is now, like, it's like email. It just kind of exists. Microsoft, where it's kind of boring. But like at least they buy
a lot of great things.
Take their
Windows
subsidiaries. Okay, Windows mixed reality.
Yeah.
It's because they were so uncool for so long that they've kind of had resurgence. But
well, whatever, it's kind of like fashion. Whatever's not cool, the next season becomes the most coolest thing ever.
Well, that's the thing. It's kind of fun. I actually find it hilarious how Microsoft and Apple have switched places, where Microsoft is now making computers specifically for creatives and like high-end professionals, which that was what Apple like made their money off of for decades. And now Apple's kind of falling behind. Everyone made fun of Apple for the iMac. No, for the Mac Pro for the longest time, the trash can. Great design, but other than that, it was a horrible computer for professionals because you couldn't upgrade it at all.
Yeah, well, Apple had a lot like this, like, and then it became like this kind of love, especially in North America. And then you see it kind of dipping, and they got a little greedy, and then they kind of like took over a lot of things. And they just kind of, stopped innovating. Whereas I feel like Microsoft, it was really big and then just kind of like stayed there in the background, but as a consistent like.
Well, it's because like they're just business. Like that was where they made their money, was a business.
Right.
End.
And all the engineering programs and everything, those still run on PC and everything. And then now I feel like with Windows Mixed Reality and then the HoloLens.
HoloLens is incredible.
They are, right now I feel like in terms of like taking immersive computing to the enterprise level, like they're definitely leading.
Oh yeah.
Like VR for entertainment and VR for gaming, like that's great, that's fun, but that's not what's actually going to kick off the technology. You have to first make it functional.
Yeah.
And so I think that's great. Like I personally see my job being functional in mixed reality. Yeah, not like I can see a lot of jobs that that won't. But to be a community manager and having to respond back to the community with all these posts, I do see it more of a tactile thing. Maybe like I can like zip into that person. So if that person's like, hey, I can't get into my account, instead of like writing them back, like please send me a support ticket. Like why can't I just like, boom, we're face to face on a camera. Hi, how can I help you? Like, oh, all right, let me see what's going on in there. And then okay, well, bye. See you on Twitter. That would be totally cool, and it would make my job a lot more, even more interactive, I think. I mean, it's kind of like whenever you call a service, what is the first thing you do? Like, I don't know about you, but I usually don't listen to what they're saying, and I just kind of click 000 to get to that real person, because our questions are so unique that I think AI could help a lot, but it comes to a point where it's just not human, and humans all about the exception. We don't follow rules, and our lives never follow the rules. Yeah, I know, what?
But we're such pattern followers. We love patterns. We observe all of them. No.
Do we?
Yeah, that is like one thing that like humans do better than anything, or better than computers, is pattern matching. Like to find detail where like it's always why like the CAPTCHA is like, hey, spot where like the street sign is in a photo, because like we can pick that out like this. That's just innate human, whereas like that's actually very difficult for a computer to do.
There was a point where I'm in a field
Yeah.
and there's cows, and I could literally smell the cow, and I was like, no way. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, this smells like a field, and I'm just like, what is my brain doing? Like it's
Yeah.
actually being tricked to kind of like.
And it's trying to match like the stimulus, so it's giving you the smell of cow, which is nuts. That our brains are that hardwired to trying to understand a reality.
Right, and they're just gonna
Yeah.
fill in the gaps, right?
All the time.
It's always
Yeah.
gonna try and just fill in the gaps and kind of like make it happen in one way or another.
Yeah,
So
no.
that's kind of nuts.
Like even I always love how with sight we actually only see a very small percentage. Like our brains don't fully comprehend the full image, but it's like starts to create the world around us. Like our periphery is actually just kind of stored in our memory, so it's not you're actually not seeing it most of the time.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's almost like it's getting refreshed at a slower frame rate. Yeah, it's like that kind of thing where it's like your brain just kind of filling in gaps because it wants you to understand what's going on, and not like get you be scared, like have you be scared every single second.
Right.
Yeah. I'm honestly hoping for it to kind of just take like AAA games to the like even more cinematic level where it's kind of blurring almost like a level of Sims and like that AAA experience where like you're being like fed a incredible story and a narrative and you just kind of drop into the world and just like go live. I am terrified a little bit though that some people are just gonna stay there. Like they're not gonna take like they're only gonna live in VR. I can see that happening.
Well, you know, being in social VR, you kind of get to know the community and you get to know the people in it, and you know, you do see people that come all the time, and you meet people that come here, you know, every day, and I think it does, because it is a social aspect. Because okay, so the aspect of, you know, some people will do this all the time and it becomes too much. You know, we're already seeing this with gaming.
Yeah.
Right, but you know, with gaming. It's mostly you're kind of on your own, you're talking to someone in here, and I find it not to be that social. Whereas in VR and social VR, you are at least socializing with people. So, you know, if you come from, but then you have to, it's really case by case, right? Like where do they come from? What opportunities do they have around them? And do they get more opportunities in these areas? I think it's fine as long as social VR kind of offers more outlets and subjects or opportunities than just gaming and entertainment. So like having conferences on education or health or courses, that is something I feel that, you know, if you, instead of going to all these conferences, you only attend conferences or concerts in VR, 100% do it, you know, but...
It drops the cost for everyone.
Yeah, what is that quote? That whatever you do, just do it in moderation.
Yeah.
So I think VR
Life,
is...
it's the golden mean, where everything in moderation is fine.
Exactly. You know, someone who just literally never goes out in the sun and literally closes themselves in their bedroom is only in VR. Obviously, that's going to be unhealthy. As you know, as much as only spending time on Twitter or only spending time, you know, in your PlayStation,
or like only spending time in the sun. That's also bad.
You know, if you only spend your time outside in the sun, you're not getting any work done. You're not serious either. So
yeah, it is the balance. You're right.
It is a balance. But I feel like social VR, you can. Another thing that's really cool is, you know, if you're afraid of like public speaking, or if you're like this closet in singer and you want to go to open mic, I think that's awesome that you can just whip up this anonymous avatar and then go sing your heart out and try it out in front of a crowd. Because it is as terrifying as in real life. You know, when you're giving a class and you have like 50 avatars looking at you and you're just like, okay, well, starting class. If you're someone who's nervous in real life, that nervousness, you know, comes back in VR. I don't think it comes back in video conferencing. I'm someone who gets nervous when there's like over 5-6 people in the room.
Yeah.
And in VR, it triggered that like kind of like social anxiety a little bit of having, you know, to speak in public. So VR kind of like, I feel like it helps because you just do it over and over. And then if I'm really nervous, I can just go into one of my other accounts that's not really associated to me. So it's like this like avatar. And then if I mess up, then I mess up. you know, or, you know, there's like these events where you improv or you sing along. Like I would probably not sing at a karaoke in real life.
But you do in VR.
And I have in VR, and it wasn't that bad, and I sang really bad, but like at least I got it out of my system in my bucket list of like singing karaoke. So.
Interesting. Anyways, shifting completely from VR, what is like the most exciting thing that you have planned in like real world activities?
I have been going back into photography. I'm taking a break from video because I feel like you have to juggle a lot of things. There's lighting, there's audio, and then there's the film itself, where I feel like photography, it's going back to like this more childhood love of media, and I find it easier to handle, to think about, I need this one shot, I need to tell a story with this one capture. Because it just became more and more intense, right? Video and then VR is like all the senses. So photography for me is a way to get to kind of go back to the roots of
to
media.
Simplify it,
Yeah, and then I've been kind of just going with my phone. I don't even use my pro camera anymore. I don't even want to have this big clunky thing, and then most people, you know, kind of look at you these, you know, weary eyes, and people don't really like street photographers, I find, that much. Like, you get people come up to you out of nowhere and be like, excuse me, don't take my photo, and you're like, I was taking the building, and you weren't even in the frame.
Yeah.
So I feel with the phone, you know, you just kind of take it out and, you know, snap it, and then maybe I have the, you know, sometimes I do have the camera in my backpack, and then I'll only take the camera out when I'm really sure that that's the shot that I kind of want. So
Interesting.
yeah, no, I'm giving a class on like mobile media production, so just kind of talking about like you don't really need, when you're starting out, that, you know, $6,000, $8,000 camera. Like, you can start out with your mobile, you can get away with a lot of, you know, really cool conference shots, start your way, start your portfolio, and then rent out the camera, and then it's tax deductible, and it's amazing. You don't really,
it's beautiful.
You know, you don't need to spend all that money, and it's really hard when you're starting out, you know, to get your hands on that pro camera.
Yeah.
And I'm more like, don't get the pro camera.
No.
Rent the pro camera when you actually have a gig for it.
Yep.
Get an extra day or two, you know, if you want to like play around with it. But you don't need that pro camera to be a photographer and a videographer and then get those good shots. Get the good shots with the mobile and then bring in the pro equipment. So I'd say,
Well,
really,
it's also the pro equipment. Just it is more powerful if you know how to use it, but it also takes longer because you have to like really go in and fix everything. Like the tools, it's not simple. It's not plug and play. It's like you really need to know exactly what you want it to do. Because if you're just kind of putting it out there and like you haven't kind of gone the practice, it's gonna be worse quality. And like there's way less room for error because, you know, I think whenever I set up a tripod, it's like I love that the shot's gonna look beautiful. It's like it's perfect. Like, I'll frame it, but that takes way longer than taking out a phone and like taking that like video or still in 5 seconds. And just it's a time saver at the same time, and like you're allowing yourself to like learn quicker. Yeah. So that's our show this week. We produced and edited. No, we were just produced by me, Robin. Hey, Ashmeta, that's not what I say usually. That's our show this week. We were produced by me. We were filmed and edited by Robin Loom. Our music is by Ashmeta, and our logo is by Isabel Lee. Special thanks to our guest, Andy. It was incredible talking all about VR and kind of being just a general content creator. Awesome conversation. Shout out to our sponsor, Ether Kombucha. We love you. And until next week, have a good one. Okay.